We continue our divisional take series, and this time it's with the AFC East. Let's head to Miami in particular and flash back to Dolphins star wide receiver Tyreek Hill sounding off after a Week 18 loss. Take a listen.
This is my first time I haven't been in the playoffs, man. So, I mean, for me, like I said, man, I just got to do what's best for me and my family, dog. If that's here, or that's wherever the case may be, man, I'm finna open that door for myself, dog. As I'm opening the door, like I'm out, bro. You know, so it was great playing here, but.
I mean, you thinking about leaving here?
If it is, hey, yeah.
It was January. It was wild.
He indeed did not. He was not out.
That's the George Costanza. That's the quit and just show up like nothing ever happened.
Look, he has since walked back his comments and has expressed his commitment to the Dolphins. But his quarterback, Tua, spoke on the whole situation publicly for the first time yesterday. Take a listen.
A lot of people that follow football, that follow the Miami Dolphins, that follow Tyreek, that are fans of his, everyone has seen that. So when you say something like that, you don't just come back from that with, hey, my bad. You got to work that relationship up. You got to build everything up again. And, yeah, it's still a work in progress, not just for me, but for everybody. But, like I said, he's working on himself. He's working on the things that he says he wants to get better with and do better on. So that's the first step to me, and so I commend him for doing that.
Okay. Harry Douglas, I want your take on this entire situation, but as a former wide receiver, are you a little surprised that they're not coming into training camp saying everything is completely cool and we're absolutely on the same page and that it's going to actually take some time to repair things?
I'm going to say no, because one of the things I do know about the healing process and getting over things is that it all has its own timing. And who am I to say that, hey, in 6 months, this should be all patched up? Now, what I do love is, number one, that Tua, as a leader of this football team, had the ability, number one, to hold Tyreek Hill accountable, but also Tyreek Hill took accountability for his words, because what we do know in this world is that words carry weight. And at that moment in January, when Tyreek Hill, as one of the leaders on this football team that a lot of these players and coaches and fans look up to, in the most daunting moment when things weren't peaches and cream, he said that he wanted to be up and out. Those words carry weight, not just with Tua, but other people on this football team. So I love that the leaders are, number one, not just sweeping this under the rug and saying, hey, guys, let's just go into the season. It needs to be talked out. It needs to be worked on. And that time frame for when it becomes healthy like it was previous is different for everybody in every situation. Now, I would also say this, when you look at, this entire situation, I'm glad that they're stepping up as leaders of this football team and addressing it. That's healthy, y'all. See, it's toxic.
Publicly?
Well,
do you need Tua?
But let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Did Tyreek Hill do it behind closed doors?
No, he didn't.
So why does Tua Tagovailoa have to do it behind closed doors?
Fair enough.
I agree with that. The only issue is the fact that it is being said publicly, I think, speaks to the deep fracture that existed. The fact that they say this is still a work in progress. And these guys have been together for several years. For me, it's really about this roster. And I don't think – show me how the Miami Dolphins have improved this roster dramatically where you feel like in this division they're going to be good. Because when losing happens, that's when you start to see locker room fractures as well. So that's why I think this is an inflection point for this team. So we'll see if they can actually win.
And it's healthy, too, now.
Is it, though? Because I would ask Kevin. We have been to a point. We have been to a million first day of training camp press conferences, and it's always, I'm in the best shape of my life.
Yes,
things are great.
Say.
Tua, who I think is not your straight line court. He said things in recent years that have been like, okay, Tua. Like, he's got a voice. Kevin, were you surprised that he would publicly address that, hey, things aren't great right now?
So here's my read on it, okay? There's about 40 to 50% more optimism on an opening press conference than there should be, okay? Everybody's in the best shape of their life. Everybody has Super Bowl aspirations. Everybody is over that nagging injury from last year, right? So the fact that they came out and said this is still a work in progress shows you that it might not be amazing behind the scenes. Now, as a wide receiver, Harry gives those comments every time he steps out. He just says, I don't know if I'm going to come back and all that stuff. That's just how wide receivers operate. And we take him back, but he works on it. But no, with Tyreek Hill, for me, it's one of the biggest relationships in the NFL this year between Tua and Tyreek because winning cures all. But Tua has the easiest evaluation in the NFL. When things are great around him, he can be great. He had the third best completion percentage in NFL history last year. He got rid of the ball quicker than anybody in football. When he can get the ball in the hands of his playmakers, good things happen. But what happened last year? First of all, the offensive line isn't where it needs to be. It's still not this year. Kimberly mentioned the roster just not getting any better this year. We'll just keep an eye on that. But last year, Tyreek Hill, first 2 years as a Dolphin, 20 deep receptions. Led the NFL by far. Last year, 5.
Yeah, look,
5.
Well, the NFL,
so this is
the
a
NFL
football
Network,
problem
where I used to
as
work,
much as it is.
did their top 100 list last year. Do you know who the number one player in the entire NFL was voted by the players? Tyreek Hill. Do you feel that is even a conversation right now? No, Kimberly, like what you said, feels like the Miami Dolphins took a massive step back last year, and entering the season last year, there was real Super Bowl hopes. I ask you, if the Dolphins don't make the playoffs this year, is it time to just scrap this entire thing, this entire era, and rebuild yet again?
I think the conversation around Tua for so long has been, who is he really? I was there when he threw 6 touchdowns against Baltimore, and I interviewed a few years ago, and I interviewed Tyreek Hill right after, and he was like, Tua threw how many? Like, he's great. And you think about that high of where they were and where they thought they'd go to right now, where is he elite? He's got great talent, but is that enough? Is he a guy that in crunch time you can depend on? A lot of people don't know. We don't know that answer. And so if they don't make the playoffs, you know what Tyreek Hill's capabilities are. You know what the quarterbacks are? That's the big question.
So let me say this about the Dolphins in last season. A lot of that also was predicated off of Tua being injured early on versus the Buffalo Bills. Now, I'm going to put some more of this attention on Mike McDaniel because half of your job as the head coach and also as a play caller is to not make sure that your dynamic duo from the wide receiver position go by the wayside while your starting quarterback is out. Now, also, what they have to realize is that this offense is predicated off the big play. And I called last year on ESPN Radio with Steve Levy the Bills and Jets game, the second one, up in Buffalo. And what Buffalo said is that we're not going to give you the home run hitter. We're going to play 2 safeties deep. And we're going to force you to methodically work this football down the field. And then we're going to put people in the face of Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, not give them free access and free releases off the line of scrimmage. So now, Mike McDaniel, as a play caller, you have to be committed to the run game. When a team tells you that they're going to play 2 high shells, you know what they're basically saying? We don't believe that you can run the football.
Look, he was a run game coordinator for the Niners, which was Kyle Shanahan. That was his job. Like, he can do it. I look at him, and this sounds like I'm just looking at a stat. They don't win in cold weather. And in November and December.
They have the narrative of being soft. Like,
that is a real identity.
They don't win versus quality opponents.
They went to Green Bay on Thanksgiving last year, and everyone said Dolphins can't win in the cold. Tua can't win in the cold, and they played their worst game of the season. In the playoffs 2 years ago, they go to Kansas City on that Peacock game. Andy Reid's got the frozen mustache. The Dolphins might as well have not even shown
up. They were really hurt as well.
These are great things to say, but as an objective viewer, teams are hurt in January every single season. So, Kevin, how do you shed this thing that, Kimberly, you said yourself, they might not be viewed as tough enough, or they might be viewed as the most damaging
They say
of terms.
They understand that's the narrative. They understand.
It rhymes with other words that end in OFT.
Yes.
And you don't like saying it out here, but the word soft gets tossed around.
Sure, but here's the deal. You can be soft if you're fast and efficient and you complete deep balls like you did 2 years ago. The problem is that's not happening anymore. That's the biggest issue, is that is not happening anymore. So you get the deep ball back, you work that back. Tua uses his completion percentage and his accuracy and then the quick game and all that stuff. You build that up. But for me, I'm looking at this team and I'm saying, I think the best thing you can have is a DeLorean to go back to 2 years ago and redo that because that was the window.
You're close.
That's when they had genuine pass rush. That's when in October and November of that season, Peter, they were the most fun team to watch.
They put 70 points up on Denver.
And they had genuine pass rush. They were built for 2 years ago. Now they have the fewest amount of rookie contract guys in the entire league. They are the epitome of an aging roster with a ton of veterans. They may have just missed the window on this era, guys.
Miami, good morning. The Steelers have been a big talking point this offseason, and they are locked and loaded after being busy the last few months. It began early with the trading for DK Metcalf. Then their patience paid off when they finally signed Aaron Rodgers. Most recently, they came to terms with TJ Watt, giving him a record-breaking 3-year extension. Pittsburgh is hoping this will be enough to break their 8-year playoff drought. GM Omar Khan has loftier goals for the team.
Our goal is to win a Super Bowl, so we're building this team to win a Super Bowl this year. That's our goal.
Harry, Omar Khan, the GM, saying Super Bowl is the goal in Pittsburgh. How do you feel about the general manager coming out and setting the bar that high?
Well, that's his job as a general manager, and he felt like, from a Pittsburgh standpoint, that they've done more this season than they've done every other season that he's been a general manager, acquiring players, trading for players, and then the whole nine. They went out and got Aaron Rodgers. They went out and also got Jalen Ramsey, DK Metcalf, Darius Slay. They re-signed TJ Watt and gave him that big extension. So he has every right to feel that way. Now, do I view them as Super Bowl contenders
do you put them in that
as they're constructed right now? No. And the reasoning is because on their offensive line, they're going to be starting, the 4 of their 5 starters are in year 2 or year 3. Everything, in my opinion, is going to be predicated how that offensive line can, number one, win the line of scrimmage. Because if they're winning the line of scrimmage, number one, that run game is probably going to be top 5 in the NFL. They're also going to be able to protect Aaron Rodgers. And now he can, that run game, that play action that Arthur Smith loves to run, now that's going to be married together and you're going to see dynamic things. But right now, as they're constructed, I don't see them as Super Bowl contenders.
Kimberly, we said it. It's been since 2016 since they actually won a playoff game. I'm going to put two possibilities out there. You tell me what you think. Steelers are going to be more likely to win a playoff game this year or miss the postseason entirely. What do you have to say?
I'm going to say win a playoff game. The Steelers' issue has not been making the playoffs. It has just been winning one. Since 2020, they've only missed the playoffs one time. I think when covering this team for so long, I'm intrigued.
Yeah.
For the first time, offensively. I don't know what they're going to look like. But the fact that they have gone all in, that is something that we haven't seen from Pittsburgh in a long time, because since Big Ben retired, you're waiting for them to actually be aggressive, addressing the quarterback situation. And instead, it's been Band-Aid after Band-Aid after Band-Aid. Now, on one hand, you're thinking, okay, they've changed course. This is exciting. Let's see what it could be. On the other hand, you're saying, do you want to change course and be aggressive with a quarterback who will be 42 in December, who just tore his ACL a couple years ago, Achilles 2 years ago? No, I personally wouldn't. But I'm intrigued because this is not what the Steelers do. And I think Mike Tomlin gets you a couple wins just being Mike Tomlin, and they always seem to make the playoffs. I think maybe this year they can actually win a playoff game for once.
Mina Kimes, more likely for the Steelers to win a playoff game or not be in the tournament at all?
She's not buying it. She's not buying it.
I'm not buying it. Let's game this out. Okay, so I think we all agree, maybe I'm wrong, that the Steelers are the 3rd best team in their own division behind Baltimore and Cincinnati. Maybe Cincinnati could push it. I think they're the 3rd best team. So you're looking at a wild card team. That I think we all agree with Baltimore being the best. So if they were to actually make it to the playoffs, you're playing one of the Chiefs, Ravens, or Bills, likely. Don't think they're going to beat any of those teams. Whereas when I look at the wild card and what it would take for them to miss the playoffs, I think the Bengals, the Broncos, and the Chargers are all clearly better football teams. I do. So I would think maybe they can squeak in, sure, but I think it's more likely for one of those 3 teams I mentioned to make the playoffs than it is for Pittsburgh to beat one of the better teams in a very top-heavy AFC.
It's so interesting because, to your point, this is not what they do.
Right.
They usually just draft from within, and then it's, hey, this is what we got, and we've got our quarterback, and we go. You could say this is like the Washington franchise from the early 2000s when they would go all in and sign every old veteran, and it's a complete mess. And it's, yeah, we got Albert Hainsworth this year, and yes, we're bringing in this old quarterback. Or this could be the Rams from 2020 when it's like, we're getting Stafford, we're getting Ramsey, we're going all in, we're getting Beckham, and we're winning a Super Bowl. Like, that's how I look at this. This is all in, and it could go either really well or it can go really off the rails. If it starts off slow, Harry Douglas, what do you think
Nope, it can't start off slow.
Okay.
And the reason why I say that, look at their first 5 opponents. They play the Jets, the Seahawks, the New England Patriots, the Minnesota Vikings, and the Cleveland Browns. Now, if they're sitting at 4-1 or 5-0,
let's talk.
Then we're having a conversation about the Pittsburgh Steelers moving forward and being in the playoffs. If they start anything less than that, then it's a toss-up. And the reason why I say that is because starting 5-0 and 4-1, you bank on them going 500 in the division. They went 3-3 last season.
Yep.
The previous year, I believe they only lost 1 game in the AFC North. So that's just the Mike Tomlin effect overall. TJ Watt is going to win you a game or 2. or that defense. That's been proven. Then you move on from there. But if you start off slow, you might as well go ahead and pack your luggage, pack your bag. Vacation starting early.
That's good.
Send them to Cancun.
Cancun on 3, Cancun on me.
I mentioned Washington, and they are in a much different place than they were in those years when it was a different ownership group and a different GM and all that. Terry McLaurin, though, is seeking a long-term deal with the Commanders before the season starts and has been publicly frustrated by the lack of progress in the negotiations. Now, he's officially a holdout, failing to report to camp, and the Commanders placed him on the did not report list. He was seen doing yoga yesterday in the Virginia area, but he was not with the team. Jaden Daniels says he isn't worried about the absence of his favorite target. Take a listen.
It's just business in NFL. You know, we know Terry's working. We don't really have to worry about him doing any of that, but, you know, at the end of the day, he's still one of our brothers.
How much does it help that you had a year with him and you've had a whole season of knowing where he's going to be and talking to him and working with him?
I mean, it helps out a lot, you know. If it was last year, it'd probably be different because we didn't know each other. But now, since we have a whole year under our belt and just the relationship we built on and off the field, and, you know, we don't really have egos when it comes to our relationship with each other. So it's going to be seamless. But I know Terry's working, though.
It's been all roses and rainbows since Jaden Daniels got there. This is the first real moment of adversity for the Commanders. How concerned are you if Terry McLaurin's not there in the next couple days?
The next couple days I'm not worried about, but if this drags out 2 and 3 weeks, then I'm a little worried, Peter, because as a guy who played 10 years in the National Football League at the wide receiver position, all you do is run. And there's nothing you can do on your time by yourself to get you acclimated for actual football activities, being there with your team going against a defense. Now, I don't want this to happen. You can get to a point to where now you're having the soft tissue injuries. Are we starting too fast with Terry, just throwing him back in the mix of things? So if he does come later, if you're Dan Quinn, you have to say to yourself, if you're Cliff Kingsbury, hey, we got to slow play this thing. We got to work his way back into it. But my thing is that when you look at this quarterback and wide receiver duo or combination, I love what they brought to the table last season. Terry McLaurin is the #1 wide receiver for the Washington Commanders. As I look at this roster, I don't see anyone else being that #1 guy for Jaden Daniels, and especially for the dreams and aspirations that the Washington Commanders have for 2025. That's the part that makes me more nervous than anything. So now you're talking about Jaden Daniels and his growth in year 2 being held up because he has to compensate for something else again. He's already compensated for enough because a lot of people don't talk about the Washington Commanders and their defense being 30th versus the run last season. So him being so great and dynamic at the quarterback position, he's compensated for so much. Please don't allow it to be the wide receiver position as well.
I'm at a 4.5 on a scale of 1 to 10 in terms of the worry meter when it comes to McLaurin. Because it's July 24th and there's still time. I think we can all agree Terry McLaurin's importance on this offense. He is the security blanket for your young quarterback. Their connection is remarkable. That said, Terry McLaurin has played with 13 different quarterbacks in Washington. He has been a good soldier, but he has the quarterback right there. I think the Commanders know that Terry wants to be there, and he's waited this long for the quarterback. I think it really is a matter of them trying to find a fair number for a guy who's going to be 30 this year at the start of the season, and then will be 31 in the first year of that new contract. I think this gets done because the Commanders want him back in the fold. I understand he was out yogaing yesterday. I think this will get done. If we're talking about this in late August, then I'm concerned, but I'm not concerned right now.
Mina, I think what Kimberly's hitting on is this is the guy who wears the C on the jersey as a wide receiver and is the bridge from some dark times and is the bridge to this new great era. I think he's a special player. Is Washington maybe, are they not appreciating that enough and saying, hey, we're not going to pay you because you're 31 years old, but gosh, what he's been through and what he means to the team off the field is almost as much as on the field.
Yeah, I completely agree. It's very difficult for me to imagine a world in which Washington does everything they did this offseason to try to take advantage of Jaden Daniels' rookie contract, including trading, of course, for Laramie Tunsil. I think that was the biggest move. And then decides, okay, we're good with Terry McLaurin. We're going to play hardball with him. It's just not where the team is at right now. And to Harry's point, they don't have a lot of depth behind him, so I think he has some leverage to that degree. I just feel like it kind of reminds me of the TJ Watt contract drama, if you want to call it that, where when that was going on, and I remember, Peter, hearing you talk about this, everything the Steelers did this offseason suggested they were trying to compete, so it just seemed unfathomable that they wouldn't get something done with TJ Watt. I feel the same way about Terry McLaurin. Right. They have to get something done, so they will.
Okay, we'll see. We'll keep an eye on it.